Powered by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's news leader.
Hundreds of homes have been turned to rubble from massive wildfires in Southern California. I'm Kenneth Craig in Ventura with a look at the new areas being hit now.
Butte High lost a former coach and teacher in a tragic accident early this week. I'll tell you about it coming up.
Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful, very chilly Friday morning. Our top story for you now. 2 new, quickly moving wildfires have sprung up in Southern California, in addition to the several that have already been burning there for most of the week.
Nearly 150,000 acres have been scorched, hundreds of homes have been destroyed, and an estimated 23,000 people or homes are still being threatened. CBS's Kenneth Craig is in Ventura, California this morning with the latest.
Hundreds of thoroughbred horses ran for their lives as the Southern California wildfire spread even further south. This new blaze, dubbed the Lilac Fire, is in northern San Diego County. Volunteers trying to help save them say several of the horses were killed, several others badly injured.
I've caught a couple that were up on the hill up there actually that have been burned.
The Lilac Fire, about 45 miles north of San Diego, grew to 6 square miles in just a few hours. Further north, the biggest of the blazes around Ventura has grown to nearly 200 square miles. That fire has accounted for the bulk of the at least 500 buildings destroyed so far. Officials say even though the hurricane-force winds that were predicted for Thursday didn't quite materialize, erratic Santa Ana winds are still fanning the flames and spreading embers.
That Santa Ana weakening is going to cause the fire to be much less predictable. It's going to move in different directions.
Here in Ventura, where the fire has already passed through, homeowners are being allowed back in to assess the damage, but for many, sadly, there's not much to see.
This family of 6 returned to rubble.
All my little brother's stuff, both of theirs, it's just, that's where they've been growing up.
Every day the fire continues, air quality becomes more of an issue. So much so that hundreds more schools have been ordered closed today. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, Ventura, California.
Now, Kenneth, that tells us that meteorologists say firefighters could be facing those difficult wind conditions into next week. So not changing there, and we're kind of on the northern end of that, aren't we?
They're not going to see anything until we see something change. Right. And well, the forecast is pretty stable right now.
Right.
So early morning temperatures remain pretty cold, and that is an issue for the early part of the day. Temperatures into the single digits for Butte, Belgrade, below 0 in West Yellowstone. Looks like it's just going to be a chilly afternoon with temperatures eventually making it into the 30s. The good news is we have light wind as these temperatures continue to be on the cold side for the time being. We are talking a slight warm up for the weekend for parts of southwest Montana. We're going to talk, of course, more in depth about that in just a few minutes.
Thank you so much, Matt. Now 6:33 here on your Friday morning. Our top local story for you. Butte police continue to investigate the death of a pedestrian. He was struck by a vehicle Wednesday morning in Butte. MTN's John Amy tells us about the victim, who is a former coach at Butte High School.
Former Butte High coach and teacher Dan Lean went for a walk every morning to keep in shape, even at age 76. On Wednesday morning, just after 6:30, he was struck and killed by a motorist during his regular walk on Amherst Avenue. Butte police say a 55-year-old woman struck him while she was traveling east, and he was walking west on the shoulder of the road. The accident remains under investigation.
Going through that vehicle with a search warrant, getting a search warrant for that, getting a search warrant for cell phone usage, and just trying to determine what had occurred prior to Mr. Lean being hit.
Butte High counselor Jeff Arnston said Lean got him his start at the school as a coach. Lean coached basketball and football and taught in the math department for 30 years before retiring in the late 90s.
He was just a great guy. He was always willing to help, and he coached everything for the school. He coached football, basketball, track.
Those who knew Dan Lean here at Butte High School said he was a tireless educator who was dedicated to the kids he taught and coached.
He was always there for kids, always to give them a hand. help, and I respected him as a student, and I respected him as a mentor, as a coach.
He's a good man. He was a good man to talk to. I've known him forever. I see him every morning walking. When I go to work out, he's always out there walking down Elizabeth Warren or somewhere else. So he just was, it's a sad circumstance.
In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Police say investigators with the Montana Highway Patrol are assisting in the investigation. So far, no citations or charges have been filed in the matter.
In court news, in Billings yesterday, it took a federal jury less than 2 hours to reach a guilty verdict for 20-year-old DiMarzio Sanchez. During closing arguments, defense attorneys placed the blame on 2 others at the scene that fateful night, but jurors agreed with prosecutors that DiMarzio Sanchez was the ringleader. Jurors could have convicted Sanchez of second-degree murder, which does not require the intent to kill, but the jury determined Sanchez strangled and burned Roylyn Ridehorse, knowing it would end her life. Each now of the 5 people in the vehicle with the victim that night gave a different version of the story, making it difficult to sort out the facts. We do know Ridehorse got into the vehicle with her 3 assailants at the Kirby Saloon, and later that night she suffered a brutal assault. Jurors believe it was Sanchez who doused the victim with gasoline and then set her on fire. Defense attorneys pointed the finger at his co-defendants, Frank Sanchez and Angelica Whiteman, who have already admitted their roles in the murder. After the jury delivered the guilty verdict, the victim's family hugged the lead investigator. Victim's sister says her death is a loss not only to her family, the Crow tribe, but those who never got a chance to meet her.
Roylyn was sweet. Roylyn was innocent. Roylyn was a mother. Roylyn was a daughter. She was a sister. And she was a caregiver. She loved everyone. She didn't have an enemy. She was the most beautiful person you could ever know. She had such natural beauty. And today we just rejoice with her. We know that she's in the heavenly realms with our Father, and we rejoice with her that justice was served today.
Now sentencing is set for March. Sanchez faces up to life in prison.
And one of the 2 suspects who led police on a chase through counties while firing a gun and pursuing officers will face attempted murder charge. The chase began around 11:30 a.m. on Wednesday in Missoula when police attempted to perform a routine traffic stop. The pursuit ended just north of St. Ignatius when one of those suspects fired shots at law enforcement. Lake County Sheriff Don Bell has identified 34-year-old Alta Little Light, 3 fingers of Crow Agency, as the driver of that vehicle. She will face charges of criminal endangerment and assault with a weapon. The passenger in the vehicle was 27-year-old Rochelle St. Dennis of Missoula. She will also face assault with a weapon, but also attempted deliberate homicide charge. Sheriff Bell says that when the pursuit ended on Eagle Pass Trail near Nine Pipes, St. Dennis fired shots at pursuing officers, at which point officers returned fire. The pair then surrendered and were taken into custody. No one was hurt in that shootout. The car involved with the pursuit was stolen from Billings on November 14th. The women are currently at Lake County Jail while investigation continues on that incident.
Shifting gears a bit, Belgrade has one of the only few Head Start programs in the state, so dedicating the new facility was a big deal yesterday. MTN's Morgan Davies spoke with Governor Steve Bullock about the importance of Head Start and what it will bring to this community.
The new Head Start in Belgrade showed off their facilities this afternoon, but Governor Bullock hopes that this is just the start of a growing movement in early childhood education here in Montana.
Montana's been one of only a small handful of states that haven't made investments in early childhood education, even though we know what a difference it could make for a child all throughout their life. So I'm so excited that they came together and will be offering kids incredible opportunities for that sort of early Head Start. And now what we have to do is take what we learned here and other places and make sure every child in Montana has the same opportunities.
This program will be able to have 20 full-day students and has the potential to grow to hold up to 80 full-day students. Now, the playground where I'm standing outside was actually funded by local Belgrade companies as well as the Belgrade community. Kids will be able to use the sandbox, and there's even a little hill for them to go sledding. Reporting in Belgrade, Morgan Davies, MTN News.
Thank you, Morgan. Always love to see that. Yep. That's good stuff. We do have to take a quick break, but stay with us. Montana This Morning continues in a moment with a story of a drug dog fighting crime. This is interesting in a whole unique way.
Yeah, you're going to love this story. But first, let's check in with Nora O'Donnell for a look at what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Ahead ahead here on CBS This Morning. Carter Evans is on the scene of the newest fire in Southern California that's destroying homes in the San Diego area. And South Dakota Senator John Thune will join us right here in Studio 57. We want to talk about the Republican tax plan and also the resignation of fellow Senator Al Franken. See you right at 7.